I didn't ask who you were. I said, get your fucking car off my land. This is how it started. They thought they could use my field as a parking lot. They thought the transformer on my farm meant nothing. They thought a fake-ass HOA form would scare me. Spoiler alert, they were wrong as fuck. What started as a few cars on the edge of my property turned into a full-blown Warforged documents, legal threats, even a damn HOA hit squad. But here's the thing. They forgot one important detail. I'm not the kind of guy you can outpaper. I'm the kind of guy who keeps receipts, grows tomatoes, and calls bullshit with a shotgun in reach. If someone forged a signature to steal your land, would you go legal, go public, or shut off their entire fucking neighborhood? Drop your plan in the comments. Let's see who's got main character energy. I swear to God, I just wanted to sleep in that Saturday. It was one of those rare mornings, cool breeze birds doing their little bullshit chirping thing, and me, I was dead ass ready to drink coffee check on the crops and maybe go the whole day without yelling at someone. But nope. That peace lasted all of 45 seconds. Because not even 5 minutes after I opened my eyes, I hear engines. A lot of them. Doors slamming, voices, laughing. And not the good kind either, the HOA type. The kind that sounds like money entitlement and a bottle of wine too early in the day. So I throw on a t-shirt, boxers still on, grab my boots with no socks, and stumble out to the porch looking like a man who's about to yell at a cloud. And what do I see? Cars. Fucking everywhere. I shit you not, there's like 15 SUVs parked neatly in my east field. Not the gravel area near the fence, not the edge of the road. My goddamn field. Where I planted tomatoes just 3 weeks ago. And these idiots are acting like it's fucking Coachella out here. There's one woman in particular, clipboard shades, smug smile just directing traffic like she owns the place. I stomp down the steps, Rusty, my old dog, right on my heels, barking like he's ready to file charges, too. Hey! I yell across the field. What the hell do you think you're doing? Clipboard lady turns around like I just interrupted her spa day. Doesn't flinch, doesn't apologize. Just smiles this tight-lipped Karen smile and struts over like she's got HOA immunity. Good morning, she says, and I already want to punch a fence. I'm Rachel Turner, president of the Evergreen Meadows Homeowners Association. I blink. Cool, I'm Noah Scott, owner of this land. You're trespassing. She actually has the audacity to laugh. Oh, I think there's been a little misunderstanding. She says, flipping through her clipboard like it holds the secrets of the fucking universe. This area is designated overflow parking for community events. It's in our bylaws. I just stare at her. Lady, your bylaws don't mean shut here. This land has been in my family since before Evergreen Meadows was even a fart in a developer's brain. My grandfather literally died yelling at surveyors. I pull out my phone, open the PDF. I keep saved for moments just like this and show her the deed. Real official. Property boundaries clear as day. This is my land, not yours. Not the HOA's. Mine. Rachel doesn't even blink. Well, the previous board had an arrangement with your grandfather. Bull. Shit. I knew Grandpa. The only arrangement he made with HOA types was yelling at them to get off his goddamn lawn. Nope, I say. Not a chance. You're going to move those cars, all of them, off my field. Now. But Rachel, she just sighs like I'm being unreasonable. We have a community golf tournament this morning. She says, like, that's supposed to make me care. It'll only be for a few hours. I'm about to respond when I see it, a fucking box truck backing up into the tomato rows like it's making a delivery to Walmart. Hey, hey, I shout, taking off running. Cut that shit out. The driver sees me waving my arms like a lunatic and slams on the brakes 2 feet from flattening everything I planted last month. Rusty's barking his lungs out and Rachel's trotting after me in her little wedge heels, still clutching that fucking clipboard. You're making a scene, she says with a straight face. This is just a little misunderstanding. No need to get upset. Lady, I snap, pointing at the truck. That's my livelihood. This isn't a Target parking lot. This is a fucking farm. Rachel flips a page like she's about to read me my Miranda rights. Mr. Scott, the community bylaws clearly state, I'm not part of your damn community, I yell. By now, a bunch of her HOA minions are gathering around. One guy in a pink polo and sunglasses yells out, Hurry up, we're gonna be late. Oh, fuck, right off. Rachel still hasn't moved. We're not trying to be unreasonable. We just need this space for today. And I just need you all to get the hell off my property before I start towing cars at your expense. That gets her attention. Her voice drops a notch, all fake sweet. You wouldn't do that. I hold up my phone. I've got the sheriff on speed dial. Want to bet Rachel's smile vanishes. Mr. Scott, she says, lowering her voice like she's letting me in on a secret. Evergreen Meadows is home to several important individuals. The mayor lives here, a city judge, half the planning commission. I just stare at her. Cool. You want their cars towed first or last? She actually reaches out and tries to grab my wrist. Touch me again, I say, stepping back, and I'll call it assault. Silence. Everyone's watching now. Neighbors teens the old couple from the corner. It's tense as hell. Finally, some guy with a walker mumbles, Maybe we should move the cars. If it's really his land. Rachel shoots him a death glare. This is HOA property now, she snaps. I point at the dirt under her feet. Then show me the deed, because I've got mine. Yours better have my signature on it. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. Rachel's face does this twitchy thing that kind people do when they realize they fucked with the wrong man on the wrong morning. And that's when I knew this wasn't about parking. It never was. This was about power, and I had just decided they weren't getting an inch. So yeah, I thought that was it. I thought, after I yelled at Rachel, flashed the deed in her face, threatened to tow their Lexus parade off my damn tomato patch, they'd piss off and leave me alone. But nope. That would have made too much sense. Instead, a few hours later, when I finally got the field cleared and was halfway through fixing the tire ruts left by Karen's army, I saw something that made me stop dead in my tracks. Out past the corn rows near the old shed my grandpa built back in the 80s, there was this little fenced-off utility box. Ugly thing, gray metal humming, like it's hiding a damn spaceship inside. I'd seen it 1,000 times and never thought twice about it. Until now. Because guess who was parked right next to it? Some dude in a neon vest poking around with tools and taking photos. I walked up boots, crunching the dirt loud enough for him to turn. You lost, I asked. He jumped a little. No, sir. I'm just checking on the main transformer. I squinted. Transformer for what he blinked. Evergreen Meadows subdivision. I just stared at him. I didn't say shit for a full 10 seconds. Then I looked at the fence around the box. Old, rusted, and very clearly on my land. My land, my soil, my tomatoes, and apparently the power source for every entitled son of a bitch that had parked on my crops that morning. You mean to tell me I said slow as hell that every house over there is plugged into this box? Right here on my farm? The guy glanced down at his clipboard, clearly realizing he was about to say something that might get him sued. Well, technically, the easement agreement allows us to access this unit for servicing. Standard utility clause. Been here for decades. I folded my arms. That easement got my name on it. It's under a James Miller. My grandfather. Oh ho ho. I felt my left eye twitch. James Miller, my granddad, who was known in 3 counties for yelling at banks lawyers and once at a mayor during a town hall. And you're telling me this transformer hookup dates back to him. Now, I'm no lawyer. I'm not even HOA literate. But I know 2 things real fucking well. 1. This land has never been sold, leased, or borrowed without someone in my bloodline signing something. 2. My grandpa sure as hell didn't let people park, build, or plug shit into his property without a goddamn fight. And if there's power running through my soil? Oh, baby, that's leverage. Thanks, I told the guy. You can leave now. He didn't argue, just packed up and walked off like a man who realized he stepped in legal dog shit. The moment he left, I got in my truck and drove straight to the county office. Walked in looking like a man on a mission boots, muddy shirt, sweaty face locked in that don't fuck with me expression you get when your grandpa's legacy is being pissed on by a woman who carries a clipboard like it's a fucking badge. I asked for property records, historical easements, the whole damn archive. The clerk, Frank, old guy, smelled like coffee and paperwork, looked up from his desk and goes, "You related to James Miller?" "Yep," I said. "His grandson." He smiled. "Hell of a man." Stared down a developer in this office once. Made the guy cry. I chuckled. Yeah, that sounds like him. Anyway, Frank dug into the files and pulled out a thick-ass folder. Like thicker than Rachel's sense of self-importance. He flips through, mumbling to himself, then lays a few documents in front of me. And there it was. My grandfather did sign an easement. But it was only for the power company Pinewood Electric to install one transformer on the far end of the field in exchange for $500 a year and a clause that the land remained private. No mention of the HOA, no mention of access rights, nothing about parking, not even a whisper. Frank leaned over and tapped the paper. That's the only easement ever recorded. Rest of the land untouched, undisputed, unfucking touchable. I sat back, whistled low. Rachel Turner had been real smug about her HOA rights, but turns out her entire fucking neighborhood was being powered by a transformer sitting on my land on my terms based on an agreement she never even knew existed. And if I wanted to, I could shut that shit down. I could pull the plug literally. By the time I got back to the farm, I already had Pinewood Electric's office on the line. "Hi," I said. "This is Noah Scott. I own the land with transformer E245 on the edge of Evergreen Meadows." "Yeah, that one. I'd like to review the terms of your easement. Also, I never got any of the money." Cue 10 seconds of stunned silence. They transferred me 3 times before some operations guy named Ron got on the phone. Ron sounded like a man who just realized his entire grid was sitting on a ticking legal bomb. Long story short, they had the wrong contact on file. The payments had been going into a trust account nobody told me about. The HOA. They'd been walking, and now I had receipts. I hung up. The phone, looked out over the east field where all those SUVs had been, and I smiled. Because this wasn't just it was fucking power. I was halfway through fixing my fence, you know, the one their golf cart parade bent to hell, when I saw the black SUV roll up the dirt road like it owned the damn place. I knew it wasn't over, not with people like Rachel. People like her don't just back down. They regroup, reapply lipstick, and come back with backup. Sure enough, the doors opened, and out stepped the HOA's version of the Avengers. Rachel in her power suit hair pulled tight enough to strangle a thought. Daniel, the HOA's lawyer, wearing a smug expression and too much cologne. A city councilman I vaguely recognized from the local news. Paul something. And some chick in heels with a clipboard who looked like she thought she was at a real estate auction. They strutted up to my porch like this was a business meeting I had requested. Rachel didn't even wait to be invited. "Noah," she said, all fake sweet, like we were old friends. "We've brought the parking agreement for you to sign. It's just a formality, really." I didn't move. Didn't invite them to sit. Didn't offer sweet tea. I just looked at them like they were standing on my lawn, which, to be clear, they were. "I already told you," I said flatly, "there is no agreement. Your HOA doesn't have the right to park on my land, and you're not getting anything signed from me." Her smile twitched. "Let's not be stubborn. The community needs this, and you have a responsibility." "Responsibility," I cut her off. "My only responsibility is making sure none of your rich friends run over my fucking tomatoes again." Daniel cleared his throat and stepped forward with a legal pad like that was supposed to impress me. "Mr. Scott, we believe there may have been an informal agreement with your grandfather. Perhaps undocumented." "There wasn't," I snapped, "and I've got the paperwork to prove it." I reached back inside the house and came out with a thick folder I'd pulled from the county records office. Plopped it right on the porch railing like it was a poker hand, and I was calling their bluff. "You see this," I said, flipping to the easement. "This is the only legal agreement on this land. It's with Pinewood Electric for one transformer on my terms. Rachel's eyes narrowed. Daniel leaned in to look at the page, and for a second you could see the little panic flash behind his eyes, but I wasn't done. I flipped to the next page, the map showing exactly where the transformer was. Right there. Middle of my field, with fences, with coordinates, with my name in bold, clear print. And then I dropped the hammer. I've already talked to the power company, I said. They confirmed it. Your entire neighborhood depends on that transformer. The lights, the air conditioning, the goddamn wine fridges, all of it. And it sits on my land. Now that got their attention. Rachel's smile fully disappeared. Daniel suddenly looked like he'd swallowed his tongue. And the city councilman Paul finally found his voice. Listen, he said carefully, surely we can come to a compromise. We don't want this to escalate. You have a very important role in this community now. I stared him dead in the face. You mean now that you realized you've been squatting on someone else's power source for 15 years? He shifted uncomfortably. Rachel stepped forward again, a little more desperate now. This doesn't have to get messy. If you sign the agreement, we can discuss compensation. Compensation? I laughed. How about compensation for the tire tracks in my crops? For the years you've used my land without so much as a thank you. Or maybe for the fact that you showed up here today thinking I was too stupid to check the damn county records you wouldn't cut the power, Rachel said. That would hurt innocent families. I leaned in just a little, just enough to make her step back. I'll tell you what hurts, Rachel, I said, voice low and calm. Being lied to? Watching people think they can walk all over you because they drive a nicer car. Waking up and finding your field turned into a fucking overflow lot without a shred of respect. Silence. And then I held up my phone. This is the number for the sheriff. I've got all your license plates documented. If a single vehicle touches my field again, they'll be towed. And if you so much as look at that transformer without permission, I'll have Pinewood Electric out here with a damn lock and a security gate before you can say emergency HOA meeting. Rachel's jaw clenched so tight I thought she might chip a tooth. You're making a mistake, she said through gritted teeth. You have no idea who you're dealing with. No, I said, eyes locked. You have no idea who the fuck you're dealing with. I watched the gears turn in her head. The panic, the fury. The realization that I wasn't bluffing, that every ounce of power she thought she had just got unplugged at the source. She turned around without another word. The others followed, awkward and silent. They climbed back into their big-ass SUV, trying to look composed, but that silence. That was the sound of defeat. And I stood there on my porch, dusty, pissed off, and proud as hell. Because that day they didn't just leave my land, they left knowing the truth. They fucked with the wrong legacy. It was Thursday evening when I got the text. Emergency HOA meeting tonight. 7:00 p.m. They're pushing a vote to annex your land officially. Rachel's got some bullshit document they say your grandpa signed. Mia's one of the good ones. Lives 2 houses down from the line that borders my property. She's sharp, hates bullshit, and bakes a hell of a peach cobbler. Also, she doesn't kiss Rachel's ass, which instantly makes her my favorite. I stared at the message, let out a long sigh, and poured myself a cup of coffee with way more whiskey than coffee. Because this was it. These entitled assholes weren't going to stop with just parking. No. Now they wanted the whole damn field. And they were about to try and legalize theft with a faked-ass signature and a smile. But what they didn't know, I came loaded. I showed up 10 minutes early wearing jeans boots and a plain t-shirt with dirt still on the sleeves. No blazer, no clipboard. Just a folder under one arm and a USB stick in my pocket that could bury careers. The community center was packed. Folding chairs, cheap donuts, the smell of perfume and paranoia. Rachel was already at the front with her army Daniel the lawyer, some old guy in a bow tie who apparently chaired the vote, and a few HOA Karen clones who looked like they started arguments with grocery store cashiers for fun. She spotted me and smirked, like she thought this was going to be a slam dunk. I sat near the front and didn't say a damn word. Just waited. Then the bow tie guy tapped the mic. All right, everyone. We're here to finalize the annexation of the eastern field. I stood up. Actually, I said loud and clear, you might want to hold off on that. Got a few things to show you all first. Rachel's smile flickered like a porch light during a storm. Mr. Scott, this isn't your meeting. Nope, I said, walking up and plugging my USB into the projector. But it's about my land, so you're damn right, I'm taking the mic. Silence, then click first slide. Full-page image of my property deed, with boundary lines, dated, signed, stamped, highlighted. This is my land, I said. Always has been. Not part of Evergreen Meadows. Never signed over. Never included in your bylaws. Click! Image of their overflow parking plan from the last HOA newsletter. Highlighted section sits squarely over my tomato field. This is the bullshit map Rachel's been using to pretend my property is her personal parking lot. Rachel cut in. Mr. Scott, we have documentation. Click. Scanned image of the forged agreement. Signed by my grandpa dated 2 years after he died. Cute trick, I said. One problem, my grandfather passed away in 2019. This paper is dated 2021. Either he signed from the grave or someone here is committing fraud. Gasps. Whispers. A woman near the back muttered, Jesus Christ. Click. Screenshot of emails between Rachel and Daniel discussing creating pressure and getting around the zoning hurdle. And then the final blow. Click. Aerial map of Evergreen Meadows, and right in the middle, the bright red box labeled Primary Transformer. Pinewood Electric circled and captioned, Located on private land. Access controlled by Noah Scott. Dead silence. I let it sit for a second. Let them feel the air suck out of the room like I'd just unplugged their Netflix accounts. Then I leaned on the table real casual and said, You've been stealing space forging documents and building your bullshit HOA empire while sucking power off my land? Daniel finally stood up, trying to look composed. We believe there's room for negotiation. I turned. Rachel went pale, like saw a ghost and it owes her money pale. She looked around the room and realized the tide had turned. Half the audience was already whispering. The lady who runs the community book club shook her head in disbelief. Even the judge from the golf cart brigade looked down at his lap like Rachel tried to rally. You're blowing this out of proportion. The community needs this space. No, I snapped. You need dead quiet again. Then Mia, bless her badass soul, stood up and clapped once. I vote we throw this motion out and censure the board for abuse of power. And like a wildfire, people started nodding. Rachel tried one last Hail Mary. You'll regret this, Noah. You have no idea who you're messing with. I smiled. Real slow. Oh, Rachel? I know exactly who I'm messing with. You just forgot who the fuck owns the land under your feet. 3 days after the HOA meeting where I turned their little coup into a slideshow roast session, my phone started blowing up. Not from Rachel, not from Daniel, the discount lawyer, from the local news. Hi, this is Jenny from Channel 4. We heard there's been a dispute between the Evergreen Meadows HOA and a private landowner. We'd love to get your side of the story. And I just sat there on my porch coffee in one hand, middle finger ready in the other, and thought, oh, it's showtime. A few hours later, a news van pulled up my driveway. Out hops Jenny, red hair press badge, serious face, and a cameraman who looked like he bench-pressed tripods for fun. You know a Scott? She asked. Unless you're here to fine me for growing corn? Too confidently, yeah, I said. We set up under the big oak tree out front. I didn't dress up, didn't shave, just threw on my Don't Tread on Me hoodie and a hat that smelled like tractor grease in spite. She asked questions. I gave answers. How they used my land without permission, how they forged a signature from my dead grandfather, how I uncovered their bullshit and found out the entire subdivision was literally running off my property. Then she asked, what do you want people to understand from all this? I looked into that camera and said, word for word, I don't hate my neighbors. I hate assholes who think they can take what's not theirs just because they wear a blazer and hold a clipboard. This is my land. Always has been. You don't build a community by stealing someone else's foundation. Mike, dropped. 2 days later, the segment airs. Boom! Viral. HOA Facebook group imploded. Comments flying in like missiles. Wait, they forged a document. Rachel needs to resign ASAP. This guy's a legend. I'd vote for him before I'd trust my HOA again. At 11 p.m., Mia texts me, Rachel just rage quit the HOA group chat. Admin role revoked. She's probably crying into her Pinot Grigio. I was still laughing when it happened. Bam! Next morning, the Evergreen Meadows HOA office got raided. Search warrant, county sheriff, whole squad. Turns out someone had turned whistleblower. Guess who, Greg? My surveyor neighbor? The quiet old-timer with the binder full of blueprints and receipts. That guy didn't just drop off paperwork, he dropped a whole goddamn nuke. He handed investigators everything. Internal emails between Rachel and Daniel. The strategy doc called How to Isolate the Farmer. Yes, that was the real subject line. Messages saying things like, if we can't get him to agree, make him uncomfortable until he caves. They literally wrote down their crimes, idiots. A week later, knock at my door. Guess who, Rachel? No makeup. Hoodie. Eyes puffy like she cried through 3 bottles of Merlot. She looked like someone who had been publicly slapped by karma and then run over by regret. I just wanted to apologize, she muttered. I didn't think it would go this far. I leaned on the porch railing, arms crossed. You tried to steal my land, Rachel. It doesn't get much farther than that. I quit, she said. They're investigating everything. I'm cooperating. I gave her nothing. No comfort, no handshake, just silence. I thought I was building something good, she said quietly. I tilted my head. You don't build shit by standing on someone else's soil. She walked off, no more words. And honestly, that was better than any fine or sentence a judge could have given her. Because her little HOA empire had crumbled, and now she had to live in the rubble. 2 weeks later, Daniel, the HOA lawyer, got pulled into the investigation. Turns out he knew about the forgery, helped draft the fake signature document. His dumbass tried to deny it until they pulled up an email with the subject line, legal wording for that legacy agreement. Noah doesn't need to see. Smooth Danny. Real smooth. Even the mayor weighed in. We are reviewing HOA protocols and investigating the legal boundaries of association authority. Translation. We just realized we're neck deep in HOA shit and we need to backpedal fast. Meanwhile, I sat on my porch drinking iced tea and watching the HOA board go down like a flaming cruise ship full of Karens. And I knew this wasn't the end because court was coming. And I was ready to walk into that courtroom with every receipt, every recording, and the full weight of Truthland rights and pure righteous fury. The courthouse smelled like old paper and bad coffee. I sat on the bench outside courtroom B, wearing the only button-up shirt I owned that didn't have grease stains on it. My boots were clean out of respect, not submission. I wasn't here to play dress-up for people who never set foot in a field. This wasn't just about a gate or parking, or even that transformer anymore. This was about making sure every smug bastard who thought they could rewrite the law with a clipboard and a fake smile got exactly what they fucking deserved. Rachel walked in 5 minutes before the hearing, hair tight, pearls back on. That I'm still the queen of Holland look stapled to her face, but her eyes red. Tired. Cornered. Good. Inside the courtroom, it was standing room only. Neighbors, reporters, even a couple of city council members in the back probably sweating through their ties, wondering if they were next. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Preston, took her seat like she didn't have time for anyone's bullshit. I liked her immediately. The prosecution started, presented the forged documents, the email chains, the easement, the transformer location, the threat letters, the video of Rachel screaming outside my gate like a banshee that lost her HOA fairy dust. The room was dead silent. Then it was my turn. I stepped up to the witness stand, looked around, saw the faces that once sneered at me behind hedges and HOA newsletters now staring like I was the damn reckoning. And I told it all. From the morning I found cars on my land, to the fake violation notice taped to my gate, to Rachel showing up with bolt cutters and entitlement, to the Transformer revelation, to the emails that exposed everything. I didn't cry, I didn't yell, I just told the truth. Slowly, clearly, calmly, because truth don't need drama, it just needs daylight. Rachel's lawyer tried to twist it. Mr. Scott, isn't it true that you threatened to cut off power to the entire neighborhood? I raised an eyebrow. Isn't it true the power runs through my land and that no one asked permission for that in 15 years? He shifted in his seat. Isn't it also true that you posted a video online calling the HOA a corrupt scam? I smiled. Nope. I said they acted like a corrupt scam. But if the shoe fits... The gallery chuckled. Even the judge cracked the tiniest smirk. The verdict came 3 days later. Guilty on forgery conspiracy to commit property fraud and harassment. Rachel got 6 months in county jail, 4 years probation, and was banned from serving on any HOA board in the state. Daniel, the lawyer, lost his license to practice. The HOA was dissolved by community vote a week later, and Evergreen Meadows. They started a new system, volunteer-based, no power games, no parking wars, just people being decent neighbors. They even asked me to be part of the committee. I declined, not because I was bitter, but because I'd already won. A few months later, I got a letter from Rachel. Didn't read it. I threw it in the fireplace and poured myself a whiskey. Rusty barked at the birds in the field. The sun was setting. My tomatoes were finally growing back. And my land, my legacy was right where it belonged. With me. And a story. Not quite. But if anyone ever tries to fuck with this farm again, let's just say they better bring more than a fake signature and a clipboard. Because Noah Scott don't play. The air in Evergreen Meadows smelled different now. Maybe it was the lack of tension. Maybe it was the wildflowers finally growing back where SUVs used to squat. Or maybe it was just what peace smells like when nobody's trying to bulldoze your legacy for the sake of community aesthetic. Either way, things had changed, and it started with a demolition crew. The old HOA building, the one Rachel used as her ivory tower, got torn down. Brick by brick. Residents cheered when the sign came down. A couple folks even brought folding chairs to watch like it was a damn fireworks show. But the real moment came when I stepped up and announced what would go in its place. I'm donating the land I told the crowd to build something actually useful, a veterans community center. Silence. Then applause. Then tears. Greg was there too. The old surveyor turned whistleblower, nodding like a proud dad at a school recital. Lisa the pie lady hugged me and said, "We needed this, Noah. We needed you." Weeks passed. Volunteers showed up. Donations poured in. The new building went up fast, not a fortress of HOA paperwork, but a place for people. Kids learned to ride ponies in the back pasture. Vets held BBQs out front. Even Karen's ex-husband, the quiet dentist, came by and shook my hand without saying a word. Sometimes silence is the loudest apology. As for Rachel, she tried one last desperate stunt. Filed a defamation lawsuit. Said I ruined her life. Said she was the real victim. It didn't make it past the first hearing. Judge called it delusional at best. The only thing she successfully filed was for bankruptcy. Apparently, HOA empires don't come with a 401k once they burn to the ground. These days, the gate still stands, stronger than ever. The land's quiet. The cameras are still up just in case. And the sky over the farm looks wide open like it's glad the storm finally passed. I still get the occasional letter from strangers, some thanking me, some telling me their own HOA horror stories, and a few just saying, "Damn, wish I had your guts." To those folks, I say this. You don't need to be a hero, you just need to stand your ground. Because the loudest people in the room aren't always the ones with the power. Sometimes it's just a guy with a fence, a dog named Rusty, and a very short fuse for bullshit. And if you've made it this far, welcome to the HOA Karen Files. This story isn't the last tell, it's just one of many. If you've ever dealt with clipboard tyrants' parking wars or power-hungry board presidents who think they're running the Pentagon, hit that subscribe button. New stories drop every week. Real drama, real receipts, real consequences. Like this video, share it with someone who's one letter away from filing a violation over lawn height. Got a story of your own? Drop it in the comments or email it to us at ear. And remember, don't start shit on someone else's land, because one day that someone might be holding the deed and the last damn nerve.